it's time to talk about this weekend's race. We've got the Circuit de Monaco. We have the crown jewel. The episode's got its title because of this circuit, because of this venue. That is Monaco, the crown jewel of the Formula One calendar, sitting alongside the French Riviera, a race that weighs heavily on history. It's been a part of the championship since 1950 and been a mainstay since 1955. It's got the most glitz and glamour of any race on this calendar, with stars showing out all over the weekend. It's effectively a home race for a lot of the drivers. A lot of the drivers do actually live in Monaco. A lot of them have homes there. I know George Russell, Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, a lot of past drivers as well, all live in Monaco. But as far as it being the home race, as far as it being, the moment of the season, for one driver in particular, it's the Monegasque. It is Charles Leclerc. And what can we expect this weekend? It's a 78 lap round the 3.3 kilometer or just over 2 mile layout, with one DRS zone between turn 19 all the way down to turn 1. Weather. What can we expect for weather this weekend? Friday practice day. Excuse me. Friday practice day. You can expect some sunshine with overall dry conditions. So we're going to get some good data as far as what we're going to see very likely on a Sunday. Saturday is going to be cloudy, a 60% chance of rain, moderate chance for showers in the afternoon during qualifying. Sunday, clouds, slight chance for rain, slight chance, but dry conditions are expected for the actual race day. The lap record set in 2021 by Sir Lewis Hamilton with a 1:12.909. I mentioned towards the top of the segment, we've been racing here since 1950, one of the historical circuits. The guy with the most wins, the legend himself. You're going to see a lot of drivers showing up this weekend. I think Isaac Hadjar actually has a helmet dedicated to the one, the only, Ayrton Senna, who has 6 wins here in Monaco. And highlighting some of the greatest moments, you can't not start with Senna, but a low light for Senna. Starting with a low light for Ayrton Senna, 1988. This was highlighted in the Senna show, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. The Brazilian was a monster in Monaco after securing pole by 1.4 seconds. And in 1988, he had an epic lead over Alan Prost, undone with a massive crash into the fencing at the Portier. Afterwards, storming back to his home, but the moments before, stunning. Senna verifiably in the zone, so much so that before this crash, he had about a 55-second gap to his teammate in the same machinery in Alan Prost. But another moment from Senna, 1984, going back just a few years before that, with Toleman starting in 13th place through the pouring rain. And amid DNF after DNF, crash after crash, incident after incident, Senna secured his first podium in Formula One on a day that he could have very well won if the race director had not red flagged, had not stopped the race, and helped Alan Prost secure yet another victory by getting a second place finish, closing the gap from 13th. I think the first lap he had made up 6 places, if I'm not mistaken. Historically, one of the moments that defined Senna in Monaco, a place that effectively became his stomping ground after years and years and years of success leading up to it. But outside of Ayrton Senna, a couple of other big moments. Daniel Ricciardo, 2018, Ricciardo's redemption, a botch in 2016 that cost him a win in the Principality. Danny Rick was able to earn the win in 2018. And one of the great photos of all time, I'm sure you've probably seen it if you're a Formula One fan, but you haven't. If you have not, please go out of your way to look this one up. Daniel Ricciardo in 2018 doing the belly flop into the pool, a super, super moment in Formula One. And oh, it looks like I'm chilling with a little bit of stutter lag here. Hopefully I'm not losing any. Hopefully I'm not losing anything. Oh, goodness. And then another big moment from last year. One of my favorite moments since I've really dedicated my time and dedicated my efforts to becoming a fan of this sport. Charles Leclerc finally does it. We finally got to see the home hero win in Monaco last year after years of oh so close moments. A slam dunk qualifying to convert into the win. One of the great calls in Formula One from Alex Jakes. And I wish we could play it. I really wish we could. I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube police, but some of the great moments in Formula One history, just to recap them one more time in case the stuttering of the stream didn't quite catch. Ayrton Senna in 1988, the in the zone moment before the crash, but he was even highlighted in the dramatic docu kind of series, the drama series that was on Netflix. Worth a watch, by the way. Senna making his name in 1984 with 13th place start all the way up to second place, even through the torrential downpour. Ricciardo's redemption in 2018. You got to check out that photo post-win. It's one of the great photos in F1, period. I love that one. And Charles Leclerc finally getting the win last year with that amazing call on F1 TV by Alex Jakes. Just chef's kiss. As far as this upcoming weekend, I think it's worth highlighting. We are going to have some new rules, some new regulations this year that are going to make things a bit more interesting. How much so is going to be up for question, up for debate. We're going to find out on Sunday. New rules for Monaco specifically. A 2-stop minimum. And if you don't make those stops at one point or another and the race for some reason ends, you have a 30-second time penalty added onto your final race time. So you're starting first and you're 40 seconds ahead, of fourth place, you're fine. But very rarely is that ever the case in Formula One. The mandatory pit stop rule itself, all drivers must make 2 stops in both wet or dry formats and have to use 3 separate sets of tires throughout the day. So 2 different compounds still being the rule. So you could do a soft, medium, soft strategy. You could do a medium, medium, soft strategy, whatever works, but it still has to be 2 compounds. I think the window for pit stops opens up at laps after lap 6. So you're probably going to see a lot of cars, a lot of drivers, a lot of teams just getting that first stop over with out of the way early. I would not be surprised by this. With wet weather, very unlikely as well. We're going to see a lot of early stops. A lot of drivers probably starting on softs, if I had to guess, going to soft, medium, medium, or maybe a soft, medium, soft. We're going to see the cars at the very end, potentially with the least amount of fuel. But the penalties, once again, 30 seconds per non-stop or non-change of compounds, regardless of if the race is suspended. As far as the effects are concerned, I think it's going to force teams to be very selective about which tires they plan to use throughout the weekend. We may see very differing tire strategies on Sunday as well. I proposed a few just off rip there, but it really depends on what you're preserving, what you're not using in qualifying. But I don't know if it's going to change the complexion of the race that much. Likely it's just going to, swap around and change the midfield a little bit. But the problem for Monaco, unfortunately, and that has existed the entire time I've watched Formula One and has been a problem for years and years and years, while it has all the grandeur, while it has all the prestige, while it has all the excitement around the race itself on Sunday isn't really much of a race. You can't pass. The race is basically decided on qualifying Saturday. That's the big moment of the weekend for the racing fans, those of us who aren't there, rubbing shoulders with all the crazy celebrities and all that stuff. For us sitting at home watching it on F1 TV or Sky or wherever, the race itself on Sunday is not terrifyingly eventful. Maybe it'll change this year. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. And I don't think a lot of you guys are either, but maybe it'll be interesting. We'll find out if there's a lot of big hype news. I can't wait to still talk about it. Of course, we're going to be talking about it next week. We're going to be talking about all the crazy fallout that happens post Monaco. The grandeur of the moment is still worth recognition. And it's still one of the great things to have in your trophy cabinet, having those wins in Monaco. But the race itself, again, you secured on Saturday, but it's not a lot to write home about.